The following is a live presentation of CBC Sports. There are 4 teams left in the hunt for the Grey Cup, and 2 will play at Skydome today. The Argonauts and the defending champion Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the East Division Final. Nothing excites Albertans more than a game of any sort between Calgary and Edmonton, and they'll get one today in the West Division Final as the road to the Grey Cup continues. Loaded for action. We're all set to kick off the final. No rivalry is more intense. Who will reign from Alberta, where the faces may change, but the challenge does not. The point is perfectly clear. Nothing can stand in the way of today's champion. The general command has gone out. It's time to stamp the ticket. Destination Winnipeg. Welcome to Toronto. It is tough to beat the Argos at Skydome, and that's a point they've proven in a year-long home win streak. And one of the reasons the Argos are unbeaten in this building since October of 1990 is the fans. They're expecting 47,000 today, all of them expecting their team to advance to the Grey Cup. They've come to see the Rocket, among others. He's in the middle of that mess of players set to head onto the field. He hopes to help deliver his team to the Grey Cup next week. And not to forget, there's another team in the game today, and if he was asked to, Tyrone Jones would attempt to single-handedly stop the Argonauts from keeping the Bombers out of their own Grey Cup. And so final Sunday begins for us at Skydome. As soon as the Bombers and Argonauts have confirmed a decision, we'll send you directly to Edmonton. And since the Bombers switched to the East Division in 1987, their fiercest rivals have been the Argonauts. They've had a whole lot to say this week, the Bombers have, about their disdain for Toronto, led by linebacker Tyrone Jones. He's not been able to contain himself, even upon his arrival at Skydome on Friday morning. Tyrone, of course, always has a lot to say, and what concerns the Argonauts is that he's often able to back up his talk with his actions on the field. But thankfully, the talking's about to stop, the playing about to start, and in the broadcast booth at Skydome, here is Don Whitman with Joe Gillette.
Thank you, Scott. Hi, everybody. Joe, there's nobody out there more anxious for this game to get underway than quarterback Matt Dunigan. In his 2 years as a Toronto Argonaut, Dunigan has missed 10 games each season as the result of injury. He did not play in the postseason last year, including that Eastern Final loss to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He returned to the lineup in the final regular season game against Ottawa after missing 6 games, completed 12 of 17 for 384 yards, 3 touchdowns, including an 85-yard strike to the Rocket. So Dunigan, it's safe to say, is roaring and ready to go.
Well, Dunigan is really excited. You should see Matt Dunigan in that locker room before the ball game. I mean, his eyes are that big. He shaved all his hair off from last week, and he is a commando quarterback. He wants to prove that he can win this football game.
Matt Dunigan was at the Skydome fully dressed at 9:45 this morning, almost 4 hours before the ball game. Dunigan is obviously the key offensively for the Argos. Winnipeg's key, those 4 outstanding linebackers.
Well, what Winnipeg is hoping to do is what they've always done with quarterbacks. They want to get in there, get good pressure on the quarterback, force him to throw the bad passes, man-to-man coverage. The rest will be there in favor.
Adam Rita, of course, has other designs. In his rookie year as head coach of the Argos, he led the team to a first-place finish with a record of 13-5. He has been around the CFL for a number of years as an assistant coach, in BC and an assistant coach last year to Don Matthews here in Toronto. Winnipeg kicking off to the Toronto Argonauts to get this game underway. The pinball, Mike Clemens on the return. Special teams are expected to play a key role in this football game, and the Argos get great field position for their opening offensive series. A 39-yard return by the pinball.
Well, the pinball is back, and that's one of the keys to the Toronto offense. They've got to be able to run the football when pinball's in there, and they can use him certainly on the returns. It's a great changeup from the Rocket.
Matt Dunnigan returned in the final regular season game against the Ottawa Rough Riders in the second half and was most impressive. He has some talent to throw the football to. He has the Rocket, 9 touchdown receptions. David Williams, 6 touchdown receptions. Smith with 9, Masadi with a couple, and this is Williams on the receiving end. He takes the ball to the 45. That will be a gain of 6. He is stopped by James West and Greg Battle.
And Ty Jones has made a prediction. They're not going to score more than 17 points, and he said that'll be enough for Winnipeg to win.
First down. Here comes the pressure. There's the pass. It's complete to the pinball. Penalty flag on the play as the pinball is taken down at the 25-yard line. A gain of 15.
Really interesting. Ty Jones was in on the coverage, not the pass rush.
A face mask call against Winnipeg as they attempted to bring down the pinball on the sidelines, and the Toronto Argonaut field position improves.
That's exactly what we talked about, Don. Battle rushing the passer.
Major foul, face mask, Winnipeg number 35, first down.
The face mask call goes against Ty Jones. That takes the ball to the 12-yard line. 1st and 10 at that point for Toronto. Here it is as Clemens goes to the outside. Ty Jones reaches up and grabs him by the face mask.
Inadvertent face mask, but the 2 tight ends are in the offense now, so that should control those linebackers coming on the blitz.
The Argos were hoping for a quick start. They might get it as Dunnigan looks to the end zone. Touchdown! David Williams made the catch in the corner in front of Les Brown. Brown appeared to have good coverage, but David Williams was able to make the catch.
That's what Darryl Rogers told us yesterday. The big difference in this football team is that the Toronto Argos now have David Williams as a wide receiver. Matt Dunnigan teamed up with David Williams. That's an underthrow. It's a design play. He underthrew the receiver. Williams came back and said, hey, that's my touchdown.
Les Brown, who led the CFL in interceptions, had great position on David Williams. But Williams, one of the outstanding receivers in the CFL and an all-star this year, fought off the coverage and made the catch for the early Toronto touchdown. Lance Chomick to add the point after. And he's successful. And with 12:49 remaining in the opening quarter, the Argos are in front. We'll be back with the Toronto kickoff.
Critical to the success of the Argonauts in this game today is Mike Clemens' right knee. It's taped and it's braced, and he says it gave him no problems whatsoever on that opening drive. Bigger concern to him, he says, is the fact he stubbed his toe on the opening kick return, and that's serving to deflect the pain away from his knee. Don?
He initially injured that knee on August 27th against BC. He was out for 5 games, came back on October 5th against Winnipeg, and by his own admission, his return was premature. His leg had not properly healed. Michael Allen fumbles the football on the kickoff, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are back at their own 18-yard line. A loss of 2 after that 60-yard kickoff. Marcus Thomas was the first man downfield. David Williams gets the game's opening touchdown. Let's take another look at it.
Matt Dunnigan and David Williams team up. There's a silent audible, they call it. Williams gave him the tip of the hat. That means I'm going to underthrow you. You have to come back for the football. I'm not going to lay it out.
And he came back perfectly in front of Les Brown to make the touchdown reception as Evans hits Dunnigan just as he throws. And of course, Matt is trying to concentrate on the flight of the ball to see whether or not Williams made the catch, which of course he did. On the first play from scrimmage, the Toronto defensive unit comes up big. Rocket, by the way, tomorrow will celebrate his 22nd birthday. And he would like nothing better than to celebrate by making a trip to Winnipeg for next Sunday's Grey Cup game. 9:09 is the time remaining in the opening quarter at the Sky Dome in this Eastern Final. Winnipeg trailing 7-0. A David Williams touchdown on the Argos opening drive. The Rocket, the lone man back for the Bob Cameron punt, taking it at the 22-yard line. Look out! A saving tackle by Tyrone Jones. An 18-yard return by the Rocket.
We'll go directly to Edmonton, where the Stampeders and Eskimos are set for the West Final. A game, Don, that we have every reason to believe will be just as intense as this East Division Final.
Yes, that's a long-time rivalry, and there's a man who has one thought on his mind. Chris Gaines wants to win this football game. He made a visit to the barber yesterday and had the letters W-I-N shaved into the back of his head, and he paraded in front of his teammates today, reminding them of the task at hand. The pass intended for Darrell Smith, incomplete. It will be 2nd and 10.
His friends call him Jethro, and they have a lot of respect for this guy. I mean, here's a guy that came back from 2 injuries, and Matt Dunnigan is a guy that came back from a multitude of injuries.
Well, Dunnigan said that playing with all these weapons on offense is like driving a nice car. He said, I'm basically in the driver's seat of this fine automobile. I just have to make sure it keeps functioning. And as long as he keeps throwing passes to people like Darrell Smith, and Smith makes circus-like catches, it will continue to function. That will be close to a 1st down.
Darrell Smith hadn't practiced much this week. He had a problem with his leg, a quadricep pull. Look at the way he works off of Sampson and then comes back for the ball. And you're going to see him against Sampson. That is a super concentrated catch by Darrell K. Smith, and what a super athlete he is.
They were penalized 216 times this year. The Argos with a 2 tight end formation. Dunnigan fakes the hitch screen, throws to Masadi. He's open and down to the 19th. A 35-yard gain.
That's better than a hitch screen, Don. That's what I like. They faked it like they were going to throw the hitch screen, a little pump fake, and then Matt laid it up to Masadi. They're saying, heck, who's this Masadi? Masadi said, I'll show you who I am. I can catch this football just like those other skilled people on the field. Nice pass by Matt.
Michael Allen brings Masadi down, but not before he combines with Dunnigan for 35 yards to the 19. 1st and 10 Toronto. 6:36 remaining in the opening quarter. Dunnigan has never beaten Winnipeg in postseason play. He lost twice to the Bombers when he was with Edmonton. He lost to them when he was with the BC Lions. First and 10, Toronto at the Winnipeg 19-yard line. The Rocket lines up wide right. David Williams goes left. Dunnigan rolls to his right. Throws complete, and Darrell K. Smith will have another 1st down at about the 4.
Well, it looks like part of their game plan is to go after Sampson. They've got Darrell K. Smith at 6'3". They think that he's got the ability to out-jump Sampson, and Matt Dunnigan's looked for him twice in critical situations. They need to get a touchdown. That's what Matt's hoping for.
Darrell K. Smith continued to fight and got down to the 4-yard line. So they spot the ball back actually at the 6-yard line. They rule he was stopped there. He had continued fighting and got to the 4, but it will be 1st and goal from the 6. Dunnigan to Smith, touchdown!
Well, there's a little change-up. Matt Dunnigan rolling out. till the receivers could find time to get open. They had that tough one-on-one coverage. Darrell K. Smith knows all he has to do is find a void. Sampson made that bite. Darrell K. Smith is there. Matt Dunnigan is up into the stands. He rolled out and went up into the stands. I mean, he has put some velocity on that football and celebrates by going up into the stands. I can't believe this. Dunnigan is pumped.
Well, the Argos off to an explosive start. Touchdown throws from Dunnigan to David Williams. Dunnigan to Darrell K. Smith. Lance Chomick adds the convert, and with 5:29 remaining in the opening quarter, it's 14-0 Toronto. Bruce McNall, the chairman of the Toronto Argonauts, obviously pleased with what he has witnessed so far here at the Sky Dome, and he'll be joining Scott Oak at halftime. He probably wasn't as pleased last night with what happened at the Great Western Forum when his Los Angeles Kings dropped a 6-3 decision to the Detroit Red Wings. The kickoff bounces into the end zone. It went past Michael Allen, and the Bombers are going to concede a single point. Matt Pierce drops to one knee, a 78-yard kickoff single, and it's a 15-0 Toronto lead over Winnipeg.
Here's Matt rolling out, and watch the bite. Darrell Sampson committed up, and then he just couldn't get back. Greg Battle couldn't get any drop. And Matt Dunnigan, I mean, he is up and over. This guy's an athlete. Look at him.
He goes right into the stands to celebrate his second touchdown throw of the day. And he has posted some impressive numbers already, completing 8 of 10 passes for 101 yards and 2 touchdowns. Winnipeg 1st and 10, the Bombers at the 35-yard line. This is a position they did not want to find themselves in, trying to fight from behind against the Argos. Robert Mims battles his way to the 39-yard line, stopped there by Darrell Ford.
Well, Chris Gaines is picking on the wrong guy. I mean, he's pushing. Watch Chris Gaines as he comes in. He feels like he's being blocked by Walby. Mims makes a nice spin. Now Gaines jumps up and they get going a little bit, but Walby would make 2 of Gaines. Jethro said, I don't care.
He was hurt on October 5th against Winnipeg. He missed the last 4 regular season games. Burgess gets away from Campbell, but he cannot escape Brian Warren. Well, we have talked about the Winnipeg Blue Bomber defense. There hasn't been much wrong with the Toronto Argonaut defense during the course of the season. They only gave up 27 fewer points than Winnipeg, or more points, I should say, than Winnipeg. And their defensive play has been often overlooked in light of the marquee players that wear the double blue.
That's exactly what Darryl Rogers said. He said, hey, let's not forget, Toronto's got a good defense. I mean, everybody talks about their offensive weapons. They've got a solid defense.
Bob Cameron stands at his own 20-yard line. Just one man back for this 3rd down punt. That's the Rocket, and not a good kick by Cameron. It goes off the side of his foot, bounces to the Rocket at the 35. He's trying to get outside, runs into one of his own men, but he bounced off Esquerdo, and now he's got to the outside, and he's going to cut it back, and he'll go all the way.
There's a happy owner. The Rocket said, if you talk about me all week and you guys keep talking in Winnipeg, I'll just run faster. And you know what? He did. He ran fast, he ran around, and then he put on a spurt of effort. There's a good wall setting up. He made the first guy miss. That's the key. Now watch the wall of blue jerseys set up. The Rocket made a good move, ran into his own man, Esquerdo, who rerouted him. I think Esquerdo deserves an assist on this. Now he comes downfield. Now watch the spurt right here. He puts on the Rockets, the afterburners, and he's gone. 75
yards for the 3rd touchdown of this opening quarter. Lance Chomick will add the point after, and the Toronto Argonauts have jumped into a 22-0 lead. Well, the Rocket has delighted fans all across the country. Here at the Sky Dome, this is only the second time that he has returned a punt for a touchdown. He ran one back in the dying moments against the Calgary Stampeders. And here in the opening quarter of this Eastern Final, the Rocket takes off for 75 yards and a major score. 3:51, the time still remaining in the opening quarter. He ran into J.P. Izquierdo, but got to the outside, reversed his field, and with some room, there's nobody about to catch Raghib Ismail.
He did run faster. That's what he promised to do. And he's not even breathing hard.
You know, initially, I'm sure the Blue Bombers thought they got a bit of a break when Cameron's bad kick, instead of going out of bounds, stayed in the field of play, bounced towards the Rocket, and then he picks it up, and away he goes, 75 yards for a major score.
Well, there's so many weapons on the Toronto Football Club, and they've used 3 of them already, and they've all resulted in touchdowns.
2 people who have played a key role in this opening quarter for the Argos, quarterback Matt Dunnigan and punt returner Raghib Ismail.
Well, Matt Dunnigan said it's like driving a finely tuned car. There's one of his cylinders right there. That's a smooth athlete.
Well, Dunnigan also said, we haven't hit on all cylinders yet. They certainly have in this opening quarter.
I did ask one stalwart member of the Bomber defense, James West, if there was a lot of talking going on the field, and he said, are you kidding? The Argos are too busy celebrating to talk to us.
Well, James West also made a comment earlier in the week that he couldn't understand why the Argos were so quiet in view of the verbal abuse that was coming out of Winnipeg. Can the Winnipeg Blue Bombers mount the same type of comeback as Wilfrid Laurier? Darryl Rogers certainly hopes they can, but he did not anticipate falling behind by as big a margin this early in the football game. 2:43, the time remaining in the opening quarter. A big crowd in attendance. As of yesterday, they had sold almost 45,000 tickets. It could be close to 50,000 watching the action here this afternoon. Darrell K. Smith on the kickoff return. There are just so many offensive weapons in that Toronto arsenal. A 31-yard return by Darrell K. Smith. Paul Randolph made the tackle.
Well, people think Darrell K. Smith is a receiver, but he's much more than that. As he gets the football, I mean, he's got the Rocket out in front blocking for him. He makes a break. He saw the seam. He actually didn't run the ball to the wide side of the field, which was the call, but he just saw an opening, and hey, he's almost up at midfield.
Toronto won 2 of 3 regular season games against Winnipeg. 1st and 10, they're at the 46-yard line. Dunnigan throwing deep for the Rocket. Incomplete. Les Brown was defending. Brown was saying that there are occasions in the course of a game where the Rocket tips off whether or not he is going to go deep, but Les Brown wasn't about to reveal what he has picked up in watching videotape of the Rocket running his pass patterns.
Probably talking about the body angle of where he's coming out.
Mike Clemens, the lone man back for this Bob Cameron 3rd down punt with 45 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. Clemens is out there because there's an apparent injury with the Rocket. And Clemens won't go anywhere as he is surrounded after a 2-yard return and a 40-yard kick. Now the doctors and the Argo medical staff are talking with the Rocket. We're not sure what the problem is. We'll try and update you on any difficulties he may be having just as soon as possible.
Well, that body language looks like he's received contact, and I'm sure the doctors are asking him, what day is it? Who are we playing? They're trying to find out. Bruce McNall is probably saying, I hope he's ready to get back in the ball game. That's my guy.
Well, he electrified the crowd with the 75-yard touchdown run on a 3rd down punt earlier in this quarter. And the fans in attendance would like to see more of that. This should be the final play of the opening quarter. 2nd and 6. Dunnigan looking to the sidelines. Murray makes the catch for a 1st down Toronto at the Winnipeg 54-yard line. And that is the end of the opening quarter. A wild quarter for the Argos. They lead 22-3.
Bench, they are not overly concerned about the Rocket. He's a touch dizzy right now and suffering from a bit of nausea. They think it might be the result of a hit that no one seems able to identify, but also because of physical exertion. He's run further and faster in this game, they say, than he has any all year long. But Don, they do expect him back in the game at some point, perhaps in this quarter.
Well, the Argos certainly need the Rocket in the lineup, although they do have so many other offensive weapons. Matt Dunnigan looking for Darrell K. Smith, incomplete on the first down play from the Winnipeg 54-yard line. Greg Battle, the linebacker, was coming again. You know, the last team to beat the Argos at the Skydome was the Winnipeg Blue Bombers on October 13th of 1990. Winnipeg won by a score of 21-16.
Matt Dunnigan is upset because of this shot. I mean, that's right below the knee. That can hurt your career, and Matt jumped up and told Battle about it. You know, he said, hey, you can tackle me up high.
Well, this year, Dunnigan missed 10 games as the result of a popped calf. That occurred in the second game of the season. Then he suffered a separated shoulder, but he's in fine form today. Darrell Ford, the all-star linebacker of the Argos, somewhat miffed that he was second in the balloting to Greg Battle for Defensive Player of the Year in the Eastern Conference. Many of his Argo teammates felt the same way. 13-13 remaining in the first half, and the Rocket is going to be taken off to the Argo dressing room. Nausea seems to be a bigger problem with the Rocket than any serious physical problem.
He must have taken a good hit. I know nausea is part of it, but normally that's produced from taking a good hit. Well, that's a momentum changer. I think that takes a little bit of the heart out of Toronto to see one of their top guns going off the field like that. And certainly it's going to hurt Matt Dunnigan's ability to find people open.
So the Rocket heads off to the Toronto dressing room. And Argo owner Bruce McNall obviously has to be concerned. It hasn't been a great week for the owner of the Los Angeles Kings and the Toronto Argonauts. He has seen his Los Angeles Kings lose 3 games by lopsided scores to Winnipeg, Vancouver, and last night Detroit. Burgess on second down looking for a receiver, can't find one, and is taken down by middle linebacker Chris Gaines. Well, the way the Argos exploded in the opening quarter, it would certainly appear as though they are cup-bound, but the Winnipeg Blue Bombers still have 2 quarters and 11:30 remaining in this second quarter in which to change things. Burgess taken down heavily on the far side of the field, directly in front of the Argo bench. He stopped short of a first down, and Bob Cameron comes in to punt.
The Rocket is in the Argonaut locker room laying down. The nausea has not gone away as quickly as the Argonaut team doctors thought it would, so they've taken him to the room, and he's laying down hoping to recover that way. They're unsure what the problem is. No one seems able to remember if he was hit hard enough to become nauseous, so they're going to have a closer look at him, and he may not be back in this half, but they'll add it up, they hope, at halftime, Don.
Burgess with Graisley on his back goes down. Graisley blitzing from his halfback position, and Burgess never had a chance to throw.
Well, Carl Graisley, he's coming in from the outside of your picture here. Everybody's thinking about blocking to the front side, and Burgess has no place to get any help from the backside. As he comes in, that's a headache right from the backside. The leader of their defense, Carl Graisley, made a big sack.
And I'll be asking Argonaut owner Bruce McNall if he's got so much money that he wants to give each of the Argonauts $36,000 if they win the Grey Cup. There he is next to Wayne Gretzky in the Argonaut box. The Kings played in Los Angeles last night, and these guys flew all night to be here today to watch their football team play, Don.
The Argos have only run the football twice this afternoon. Dunnigan will throw again, this time to the pinball. He waits for Williams to make the block. Touchdown! Michael Clemens goes 70 yards for a touchdown. Paul Masati got involved to make a block. David Williams threw the key block, however. The pinball utilized David Williams perfectly. He waited for David Williams to get in position to throw a block, as we'll see on the replay.
Well, here's the pinball, and we all know what an athlete he is. I mean, he is down the field, and watch him wait for David to come over and get him just a piece of Rod Hill. That's all he needed, was just a piece of him. Then Masati came in and just cleaned out anybody that had the angle left, and it's a touchdown.
The pinball adds the 4th Argo touchdown of the afternoon as Toronto increases its advantage to 28-3, and Lance Chomick will add the point after with 7:54 still to play in this first half, and the pinball heads to the bench limping. He said that knee that was injured initially on August the 27th was okay, but as he made a move trying to spin off an apparent tackle, he may have planted just the wrong way. But there's a key block by David Williams, and then Masati gets involved, and you see Les Brown and Quincy Williams come in on the pinball, and he headed off to the bench limping.
A lot of fireworks for just a simple flat pattern. He caught that flat pass, but Masati came up and he made it a play, and pinball just takes it in on his own from there. Get out of my way, I'm going to get 6, and he did.
Well, 4 of the Argos marquee players, the pinball, the rocket, Darrell K. Smith, and David Williams, have scored touchdowns in the first half, and Matt Dunnigan has thrown passes to 3 of them. Matt Pierce on the kickoff return dives to the 30-yard line. 7:47 the time remaining. That was a 15-yard run back. Paul Anastasiuk made the tackle. Scott?
Well, Don, there was some concern by Argonaut fans and the Argonauts themselves as Pinball Clemens came limping off the field after that spectacular touchdown, but I had a word with him and he confirms it's not the knee. The knee is no problem. It's the big toe on his right foot, the one that he stubbed. So he's got a case of turf toe, the result of the run back to start this game. I asked him if it could get bad enough to take him out of the game, and he said absolutely not, but it could be pointless to keep him in if this score continues to build in the Argonauts' favor.
Another pass falls short of the intended receiver, and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are forced to kick it away again.
Paul Masati from Acadia. I mean, this guy is some kind of football player, because what he'll do is anything the coaches tell him to do.
Well, from the Skydome Hotel, some of the spectators are watching action here at the Skydome this afternoon. Bruce McNall watches proceedings from his private box, and a crowd of close to 50,000 is taking in the action. And wherever you're looking in on CBC television, we hope you're enjoying the action and will stay with us for the second half of the doubleheader. The Western Final still to come. Edmonton entertaining Calgary. It will immediately follow the Eastern Final between Winnipeg and Toronto, and the Argos lead 29-3. Matt Dunnigan has had a field day against Winnipeg's defense. He runs for a first down.
That's what people often forget that Matt Dunnigan can do. He's got that ability to pull the ball down and to get at least 10 yards on a whim. I mean, it looked like he wasn't even trying, and he drops back, nobody's open, and look what he does. He's over in for the first down. Good numbers today, 11 out of 19, 188 yards, 3 TDs. This looks like last week's second half. He's picked up the momentum a little bit in this half.
Matt Dunnigan in previous playoff games against Winnipeg really hasn't had occasion to smile, but he has certainly had things his own way this afternoon. He takes off again, and that's another Toronto first down. Hatziano and Battle made the tackle. Dunnigan missed the 3 regular season meetings between these two teams. On July 25th, Toronto won by a score of 30-16. On October 5th, it was 22-21 Toronto. And on October 11th, Winnipeg 28-27 victors.
Well, one of the things the top does in this dome, it keeps that crowd noise in here, and I think that's really significant, particularly when Winnipeg has the ball and you get the Argos up on the bench cheering on the crowd. I mean, they start to wave towels.
Winnipeg number 34, still second.
Greg Battle was charged with the offside.
And the crowd responds.
Michael Clemens scoring a 70-yard touchdown, the most recent of the 4 touchdowns the Argos have scored this afternoon. Kevin Smelly takes the handoff for a pickup of about 5 yards. The Argos will now send out the punting unit with 2:28 remaining. Bruce McNall, the chairman of the Argos, has joined Scott Oak, and Bruce McNall will be talking with Scott during the halftime intermission. And he certainly has reason to smile over what he has witnessed through the first half of this football game.
I remember Adam Rita telling us yesterday that the Winnipeg defense makes you look ugly. Well, if this is ugly, I'd hate to see him when he looks good. I mean, they have put the ball in everybody's hands that they wanted to get it into, and those people have responded.
He also said that the Winnipeg defense, because of the type of defense they play, is susceptible to a big play. He said you will either succeed with a big play or they will make you look ugly. So far today, the Argos have succeeded with big plays. Les Brown and Matt Pierce lose the football. The Argos have got it.
Well, Jethro has come up with the ball. He can't get out of bounds without falling down, but he can get that football and recover and make some tackles.
Miscommunication between Les Brown and Matt Pierce. They both attempted to field the 3rd down punt. Neither of them was able to make the catch. And Chris Gaines got downfield to recover.
Let's not forget the guy who kicked that football. I mean, he is a weapon as well. This Olisic on kickoffs, he gets teams pinned down in their own area. And when he punts, that ball's coming out of nowhere. I mean, it's coming down from the sky. Both of them wanted the football. I mean, both of them probably called for it. Somebody's got to get out of the way, let the other guy have it.
A 50-yard kick by Hank Olisic, and the man who has wind carved into his hairstyle picks up the loose ball, and the Argos threaten again. 2nd and 10. Penalty flag on the play. The pass for Darrell K. Smith. It's over his head. He was being covered by Darrell Sampson.
Quincy Williams getting up off the sack, and Matt Dunnigan's talking to him, get off of me. Now Matt rolls out as he delivers. Quincy Williams came in and smothered him, but watch Quincy stay on top of him, and Matt gives him an elbow. Get up off of me, buddy.
.146 remaining in the half. Lance Chomik will attempt a field goal. Lance Chomik this year established a single-season scoring record in the CFL with a field goal of about this distance in the final game in the final seconds of the regular season against the Ottawa Rough Riders. 236 points on the season. His field goal makes it 32-3 with 1:42 remaining in the half.
Well, Lance Chomik, there's another guy, GMC Outstanding Player Award nominee, and 200 yards for a kicker. That's pretty good, but they light up the scoreboard so much with the Argos. Chomik has had a lot of practice.
Matt Dunnigan came down heavily on the right shoulder. Ricky Foggy is now warming up at the Toronto bench. As Dunnigan went off, he was not moving his right arm. There could be a problem. Matt Dunnigan seems to be moving all right at the Toronto bench, but it is right arm that is causing the problem, apparently. Matt Dunnigan has gone off to the dressing room. We indicated there may be a problem with the right arm. He suffered a separated shoulder earlier in the season that forced him to miss 6 of the last 7 games. Pass is intercepted. Don Moon picks off the throw by Tom Burgess and brings it back to the 46-yard line. A 22-yard run back by veteran linebacker Don Moon, who was our guest analyst last week in the Eastern semifinal, the game between Winnipeg and Ottawa. And coming into the game now is Ricky Foggy.
Well, what they had zone coverage, and when they dropped back into the zone, Don Moon was able to make the break and get the interception. Excellent break by Don Moon. That was intended for Tuttle.
But where was Perry Tuttle? He wasn't in the picture. As a matter of fact, there wasn't a Winnipeg jersey within about 15 yards of where that ball was intercepted by Don Moon. So Ricky Foggy takes over at quarterback. His pass, intended for David Williams, incomplete. He was being covered by James West. Scott?
Marquee players, marquee injuries for the Toronto Argonauts. They say now the Rocket has a slight concussion. We'll get absolute confirmation of that early in the second half. And the problem with Matt Dunnigan, as Ricky Foggy's taken the field, is that he's irritated the shoulder injury that kept him out of 6 games earlier in this season. They're not sure if it's separated or if it's anything worse than a slight irritation. They'll have a closer look at him at halftime, and he may be back in the second half. But of course now the concern becomes, will both these players be available for the big game next week? And I think it's pretty safe to speak in terms of the Argonauts being in the Grey Cup in Winnipeg next week. Don?
Well, that's 3 big football weapons that they've lost in this ball game, and Dunnigan with that broken collarbone, with Quincy Williams landing right on top of him. I saw Dunnigan come back with his forearm to get him off. That meant that he probably felt some aftershock in his collarbone.
The fans at Skydome are certainly enjoying the action wherever you're looking in on the CBC television network. We hope we're providing some entertainment for you and that you'll stay with us for the Western Final. The Edmonton Eskimos and the Calgary Stampeders from Commonwealth Stadium immediately following this football game. Matt Pierce and Eric Streeter are back for this third down kick by Hank Alisic. Excellent kick. It goes into the end zone, and this will be another single point for the Toronto Argos.
Well, there's a weapon for the Argos, and that might be the key weapon in this football game in the second half. With all the star players out of the Argo lineup, Alisic's going to have to keep them bottled up with that good kicking that he has done so far this half.
A 65-yard single by Hank Alisic to increase the Toronto lead to 30 points with 53 seconds remaining. Yes, that was an interesting point that Chomik made. Said visiting kickers are at a disadvantage. I'm sure fielding punts for visiting teams is a bit of a problem in here as well. The pass is intercepted by Ed Barry. It was intended for Larry Willis, and Ed Barry brings it back for the Argos to the 47-yard line. A 27-yard interception return by Ed Barry. The Argos are doing it every which way, offensively, special teams, and defensively.
Yeah, Adam Rita said we only have to win 2 of these wars. We have to play well enough to win on offense, special teams, or on defense. Hey, they're winning all 3 wars. Nice job by Barry coming back upfield, and he's not content for an interception. He wants to go all the way.
Winnipeg and Toronto are playing in their 5th consecutive Eastern Final. The Argos won the first time they met at Winnipeg Stadium. Winnipeg won the next 3, but it looks as though the Argos are bound for Winnipeg next week and a Grey Cup date a week from today. 33-3 is the score. The game completely dominated by the Double Blue. David Williams takes it out of bounds in the grasp of James West, very close to a Toronto first down with only 8 seconds remaining in the half.
Hey, that's interesting because here it is, 8 seconds to go, and they're throwing the football. I mean, they want to get more points. Ricky Foggy isn't going to be content to have people say Dunnigan played a great game. He wants to play a great game.
This should be the final play of the half. The pass for Masadi. He makes the catch at the 31. He laterals it off to Darrell K. Smith, but they ruled that the play had been whistled dead back at the 31. He was in the grasp of Rod Hill when he lateraled it off on the final play of the half. The touchdown will not count. The half ends. Toronto 33, Winnipeg 3. Stay tuned for Live at the Half.
Welcome to Live at the Half from Toronto. A fan at Skydome here just screamed, Bruce, by the Leafs. Bruce, of course, is Argonaut owner Bruce McNall, who flew all night to be here today so he could tell me if it's true he has so much money, he's going to give each of the Argonauts $36,000 if they win the Grey Cup. Are there bonuses forthcoming, sir?
Well, there may be some bonuses. I thought the $36,000 what each of the players were paying me to have this one fun. That's what I heard. I don't know. I think they got it messed up a little bit. There really wasn't anything. I just read it myself for the first time. So we'll come up with some little bonus, but I'm not sure. I don't think it'll be that quite at the moment.
What about Hawaiian vacations? That was also suggested.
Oh, we'll come up with something really good. Maybe if they like that, we'll find something neat for them if they win the Grey Cup. But basically, I think the players just enjoy coming out and playing for their own pride, and I don't think they need any kind of incentives like that.
Well, how about blenders or a case of ragu sauce, something like that?
Well, the media might get it. A little blender. How about a ring?
Let's talk about the Rocket, Bruce. I know your big concern right now is for his health, but the rumor last week, in fact, the report on an American network was that he was headed to the NFL early in the new year. What's your position?
Well, it's just not the case at all. I have no idea where these things start, basically, but he has a 4-year contract, and as I've always said, if he wanted to move, he's always free, and he's always indicated to me and to everybody that he's really thrilled with Toronto and wants to continue to stay here, so there's absolutely nothing to it at all.
Can you believe what you've seen in the first half of this game, and have you made your reservations for Winnipeg?
Well, you know, it's still the second half of the game, but the team is playing awful well right now. I'm thrilled for them. Very proud of the guys the way they're playing right now.
Bruce, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Anytime, Scott. Happy to.
The Argonaut team physician is Robert Jackson. He's just come out of the room to tell us what the situation with Rocket Ismail and Matt Dunnigan is.
The Rocket has a minor concussion. He's got a little bit of amnesia now for the first half of the game, but neurologically he's okay and he'll be fine, but we're going to keep him out of the game from here on.
And Matt Dunnigan?
And Matt has irritated his shoulders, so there's no point in him trying to continue with Rick Foggy here, so we'll keep Matt out as well.
Robert, what about their availability for the big game next week, should the Argos, and it looks as though they will, go on to Winnipeg?
Should be no problem.
So you're declaring them both as best you can at this point available?
Matt will re-x-ray and so on later today or tomorrow, but the Rocket sure will be fine.
All right, thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Don?
Well, Scott, the doctor says it should be no problem. Adam Rita certainly hopes it will be no problem. He wants to go into the Grey Cup game if, in fact, the Argos prevail through the second half with all his offensive weapons. Matt Pierce on the kickoff return, a 9-yard run back after a 61-yard kickoff. The rookie head coach of the Argos, who led his team to a 13-5 record this year. He was pumped up. He was enthused about this playoff encounter, eagerly looking forward to it all this week. And what he has witnessed in the first half should cause him to smile, because the Argos have totally dominated. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are making a quarterbacking change. Sammy Garza is taking over from Tom Burgess to start the second half. Garza's pass is complete. Rick House on the receiving end, and that is Rick House's 70th postseason career reception, and that ties Rick House for the lead in postseason receptions with Rolly Miles of the Edmonton Eskimos. Sammy Garza did not play a lot of football this season. As a matter of fact, most of the year he was the number 3 man on the Winnipeg depth chart, but late in the year he moved up to the number 2 man behind Tom Burgess, who started the game, couldn't get the offense going. Now Sam Garza will try and do it, but an excellent play by Don Wilson as he came up to stop Robert Mims on short yardage. Ricky Foggy taking over from Matt Dunnigan after the starting quarterback was injured late in the second quarter. And Foggy will direct the attack, I'm sure, for the balance of the game, as Matt Dunnigan has already taken off his uniform. The Winnipeg Blue Bombers, trailing by 30 points, have 12-14 remaining in the third quarter, in which they hope to begin a comeback, but they have a big deficit to overcome against a defensive unit that has been very tough to throw and run against today. And this is something that has been overlooked when everyone talks about the Toronto Argonauts. They always refer to the offense. As a matter of fact, as Coach Adam Rita said to me yesterday, if you asked any football fan in the country to name 5 Toronto Argonauts, they would not select anyone on the defensive side of the football. He said, but we do have some very good players back there, and they, I think, have proven that this afternoon.
Don, a few moments ago, Dr. Robert Jackson said he thinks that Matt Dunnigan will be able to play for the Argonauts in the Grey Cup next week should the lead stand up. But Matt, you've got the injury. What do you think?
Well, I'm just, putting in the Lord's hands, and if he wants me to play, I'll be ready to play. I'm going to do everything I can to get ready to play. It's just an unfortunate situation. What can I do? It's part of the game, and I can see what it's like in the next couple of days.
You did your work in the first half of this game. What did you see that allowed you to chew up the Bomber defense so much?
We just try not to force the football down the field and take advantage of what they're giving us short. And for the most part, you get the ball in our people's hands, and they'll make something happen, and that's what happened.
Frustrating when you're on a roll as you were in the first half of this game to have this happen, I'm sure.
It feels like it's been that way for 2 years now, Scott, so this isn't nothing new.
Well, you tried the haircut. What's next?
I don't know, just a lot of prayers.
Yeah. Okay, Matt, thanks for your time and good luck. Hope to see you in Winnipeg next week. Don?
Obvious disappointment with Matt Dunnigan in that he is not going to be around for the finish of this football game, at least not as a participant. He'll be watching from the sidelines, as he has done far too often during the course of his Argonaut career. He missed 10 games in his first season with the Argos and missed 10 more this year. He was out of postseason play last year as well, as the Argos scored a semifinal win and then lost in the final to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Dunnigan can only hope that he will be back for the Grey Cup game if the Argos hang on to this big lead they've built up over Winnipeg.
The problem Matt Dunnigan will have is that is his throwing arm. The arm that he's having trouble with, that right arm or collarbone, could cause him some problems trying to throw the ball.
Wayne Gretzky, along with Bruce McNall, the owner of the Argos, watching with interest this afternoon. They flew in from Los Angeles after the Kings lost 6-3 last night to the Detroit Red Wings. The pass was intended for Larry Willis, knocked away by Ed Berry. Coach Adam Rita was so happy coming into this Eastern Final. He had, with the exception of 2 acquisitions, David Bevell and David Williams, the identical lineup with which he broke training camp. He was excited about it, looking forward to going with a healthy unit, and in this championship game he has lost punt returner, wide receiver Raghib Ismail, and quarterback Matt Dunnigan. Dan Gallagher entertains the spectators on the Jumbotron here at the Sky Dome, and he'll be entertaining during Grey Cup week on Thursday night. He'll be hosting the GMC Player Awards from the Manitoba Centennial Concert Hall. There will be performances in addition by Burton Cummings and Maestro Fresh West. Darrell K. Smith makes the catch and takes the ball out to the 23. Penalty flag on the play.
Greg Battle jumped on top of Darrell K. Smith as he was down. That'll be a major, and that takes him from the 1-yard line probably all the way out to the 42.
Major foul, piling on. Winnipeg number 34. First down.
Both Dunnigan in the first quarter and Ricky Foggy here have faked that hitch screen well. Michael Gray and Tyrone Jones were saying that's the one thing that irritates you about playing against Ricky Foggy. It doesn't matter how hard you hit him, he always comes back smiling.
He loves to play. Foggy loves to run with the ball as well.
The Western Final coming your way immediately upon the conclusion of this Eastern Championship game. Foggy fakes that hitch screen again, runs with the football, and will run it out of bounds with another Toronto first down. He and Les Brown have an exchange of words. Foggy felt he took a late hit on the head, after he had crossed the boundary.
Well, Foggy's got the two tight ends in there. When you know you've got two tight ends, you know that there's going to be one less gap covered by those interior people. And that's what he took advantage of. He just dropped back. Here's Foggy dropping back, and Tyrone Jones this is 2 plays ago, and Tyrone hit him right in the hip. And now he's going out of bounds a couple plays ago, and somebody's going for his head. But Foggy's a good athlete. He doesn't give a lot of people a good shot at him. Look at him right up there talking to him. Don't you hit me again, he's telling him. I was out of bounds. Stay away from my head.
Face mask to face mask as he and Les Brown had an exchange of words. And if they were playing the Grey Cup game today in Winnipeg, conditions wouldn't be all that bad, although the winds are pretty strong, but the temperature is at 0. And the forecast for the balance of the week, and hopefully right through next Sunday, is above normal weather conditions. So hopefully the mercury in Winnipeg will be on the plus side. They are going to stretch their record under the dome to 12 consecutive wins if they prevail this afternoon. Unbeaten during regular season play. Their last loss, as we pointed out, October 13th, 1990, to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Clemens waits for it at his own 53-yard line, spins off a couple of would-be tacklers, gets a good block as he goes to the outside, and then steps out of bounds at the Winnipeg 22.
Oh, the fans love that, and you know the pinball played that perfectly, and he set up Paul Nastasiak. Nastasiak was out in front of him, and he weaved inside. He made the defensive man commit, and then he went back to the outside. Watch pinball here. Number 27 is Nastasiak. Watch him as he breaks out. He gives him a little bit of a weave. That sets the defender up right there. And now he comes back to the inside. That's great ball carrying. That makes blockers look good.
An additional penalty on the play takes the ball to the 12-yard line. I thought the pinball, the outstanding player in the CFL last year, had a great comment in a radio interview about his collegiate career at William and Mary. They said, what was the problem with the football team at William and Mary? He said, too many Marys, not enough Williams.
Too many Tarzans, not enough Janes. William and Mary is one school. It's not two different schools.
50,380 watching the action in the Sky Dome today, and they hope that a week from Sunday they'll be able to add another banner which they can proudly display next season inside the dome. Well, Gray is able to put some weight on the leg, so that is a good sign. End zone pass. Has he got it? Yes! Touchdown for Darrell K. Smith. Andrew Thomas was protesting that Darrell K. Smith trapped the football as he dove out and extended for the throw from Ricky Foggy, who had Tyrone Jones in his face as he released.
Darrell K. Smith, watch him come off the line of scrimmage. He got his arm through. When you get your arms past the defender, now he has the ability to reach out, catch that ball, but it did take a bounce, and I think Darrell Sampson has a legitimate right. However, you have to make a great effort to make those look good, and Darrell K. Smith did that. His brother's here. Darrell K.'s brother, Sherman Smith, who was a running back for the Seattle Seahawks and is an assistant coach at Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. Here to see Darrell K. play the ball game.
Lance Chomick adds the point after. 59 seconds remaining in the third quarter as the Argos can begin making Grey Cup plans. They lead 40-3.
It's Darrell K. Smith for mayor, or maybe it's Wayne Gretzky for mayor. Bruce McNall for owner.
Well, Bruce McNall would like to see his Los Angeles Kings scoring as often as his Argos have this afternoon. But the Kings have had difficulties in their most recent games. This has not been a good week. They've given up 20 goals, 6 to Winnipeg, 8 to Vancouver, and 6 last night to Detroit.
There's a full extension by Daryl Smith. However, that ball did take a bounce, and Sampson saw it. He was right there, his eyes right on the ball. He knew he was beat, but he extended. Look at Sampson. He saw that ball dribble off the ground. He told the referee, I mean, that's a trap. That's not a catch. And Daryl Sampson, he saw the whole thing and tried to tell him, but the protest is to no avail.
Well, the officials don't have the benefit of the replay, and they ruled a touchdown for Daryl Smith, and that's the way it will be. Les Brown on the kickoff return brings the football back to midfield. A 30-yard run back after a 50-yard kickoff.
Because he made such a great effort to reach out, look, it took about a half a pound of flesh off his right arm. It's like sandpaper when you scrape along that AstroTurf.
Yes, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers had hopes that they would be able to play a Grey Cup game at home, the only time the game has ever been held in Winnipeg. But they are not going to be there. A pass intended for Rob Crefo is knocked down by Don Wilson on the final play of the third quarter. Second and 10 Winnipeg on the first play of the fourth quarter. The ball is at the 19. Garza being pursued and caught by Don Moon. He lost his helmet in the process. David Bovell was also in there.
These Argos are certainly firing up the fans. I mean, all they have to do is look in one direction, raise their arms, and there's a whole crowd, a whole bank of people very happy to see them look in their direction.
Don Moon shaken up on the play.
Yeah, he and Bovell came in on the safety blitz. Moan came in as the weak linebacker. Nobody blocked Moan. He came right through the gap and had a clean shot at Sammy Garza. Watch Moan. He's through clean. They had to pick up one of the others, and they picked up Bovell. That gave Moan the opening. Oh, he took a hard hit. A little whiplash on the back as he brought the receiver down. And Garza knows he's in trouble right from the beginning. Moan grabbed him. Now watch Moan hit as he comes down. That's a tough hit. They don't like to go over backwards. Linemen never go over backwards. Linebackers, they very rarely do.
Moan out of the ball game. Elliott in for the Argos. Well, he had one earlier. He threw to Rick House in the end zone on a third down gamble. He had him wide open and underthrew him. Reggie Pleasant and Harold Hallman already beginning the celebration here at the Sky Dome. They're 13:50 away from making plans to travel to Winnipeg next week for the Grey Cup game a week from today.
That was Coach John Payne talking about how to pick up the blitz.
Darrell K. Smith on the receiving end of the throw, and this play has been most effective for the Argos. They fake the hitch screen to David Williams and then hit slot back Darrell K. Smith inside.
Yeah, they've been working on Sampson the whole game, and what they're doing, they're faking to this outside to Williams, and Darrell K. just takes the seam route. He's getting past Sampson, and Foggy looks good. Foggy's putting the ball in there. Michael Allen has to make this game the touchdown saving tackle here. What a tackle.
Darrell K. Smith came down on his elbow. That was the elbow he scraped when he dove for what the officials ruled was a touchdown. 11:07 the time remaining. Don Moan with a quarterback sack and getting a bit of whiplash as he made the tackle. Garza throwing deep. This is intercepted. Ed Berry grabs the throw intended for Larry Willis. Another turnover, Winnipeg.
Well, that's the whole story. I mean, there's good protection. Willis is open deep, and Berry came up and made step for step. He's right with him, and he made the play, and that's what the Argos have done today. They have made the plays, and Winnipeg has not. I mean, he's step for step with him. and Barrie just takes the ball away from him, just like they took the game away from Winnipeg. I mean, this is an excellent play by the defense, the underrated defense, and Darryl Rogers was very prophetic in his, if that's a word.
It is indeed.
In his statements yesterday about how underrated the Argo defense was. They're second in points given up, second to Winnipeg.
And he also talked about the 12 interceptions in 3 regular season meetings between these two teams. The Argos now have intercepted Winnipeg quarterbacks 3 times. That's the second by Ed Barrie.
I don't think Ty Jones nor James West were very prophetic in their assumptions that 17 points is all they would get in the Argos side of the ball. Matt Dunnigan had a lot to do with that, didn't he? 3 touchdown passes.
Matt Dunnigan in postseason play had never beaten Winnipeg.
I think Adam Rita's had good temperament this year for this kind of a ball club. I mean, they've got all the stars, they've got some wild personalities, and he said, just play.
Owners of the Toronto Argonauts, John Candy, down celebrating with the players. A 40-3 Toronto Argonaut lead over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with 6:12 remaining. A penalty against Winnipeg. John Candy was telling me he was looking forward to going to Winnipeg to visit his favorite Ukrainian restaurant during Grey Cup week.
Well, I'm sure he can eat his share, and I wouldn't mind being with him. I talked to him at halftime. He was concerned with Matt Dunnigan, and he sounded like an owner. I mean, this guy's done a lot of work for the CFL this year, and you couldn't help but think he's learned all those football terms. Now, I wonder how Matt's shoulder is. There he is talking with Matt. But he stays with the offensive lineman. I think that's important.
There have been reports of arguments between the offensive players and defensive players, disagreements between the players and management.
Yeah, and look at the harmony on the Argos side. They got Uncle Buck to talk to. I mean, when you're winning, you're happy. When you're losing, everything goes wrong.
Bob Cameron in the end zone is going to concede the safety touch with 5:23 remaining.
Rather unusual, huh? That's a funny decision at this point.
I don't really understand that because the Bombers have to kick off.
Maybe they want to try an onside kick, and by doing the safety touch, they'll elect to try an onside kick and get the ball in better field position. It's the only way they could be thinking.
I think the Argos are just going to opt to take the football at the 35-yard line.
Well, enough for that strategy. That didn't work.
The Argos have decided they will just simply take the football at the 35 rather than have Winnipeg kick off. I wonder if any of the Argo players are asking John Candy if there was anything to the reports that circulated earlier this week about a $36,000 bonus that might be given to each player if they won the Grey Cup, including a trip to Hawaii.
Well, that was supposed to be a rumor, and we know that it's against league regulations, so perhaps it could come to fruition. Those guys look like they've already been to Hawaii.
Here's a statistic for you. The Bombers today on second down conversions, 21 times on 21 second down conversions, have only managed 3. Willie Gillis now in at quarterback for the Argos. Let's go down to Scott O.
Don, I'm just following up on your suggestion that John Candy might be down here on the sidelines handing out the cash, those bonuses already. Are you, John?
Well, I don't know anything about the cash bonuses. Was there done some cash bonus thing?
I really don't know. I really don't care.
There's no comment. The big thing is the big bonuses. We're going.
We're
going to the show.
One of the bonuses.
Big show.
One of the bonuses, John, for the CFL is that you're going to be front and center in Winnipeg next week. You'll be doing your job as always, selling the CFL.
We'll be here. We'll be there in Winnipeg. We're delighted to be there. Whether we won or lost, we'd be there. But fortunately, we won, so we're looking forward to being there. And this guy here is a big part of getting us there, too.
Can you believe what you've seen today, this dominance?
It was so, from the get-go, I mean, during the week on Friday when I went in the office, I saw everybody so pumped up, and they said then, all the guys were saying, it's going to be a blowout, it's going to be a blowout. You know, and you think, well, you know, it sounds great, but in actual fact.
Thank you, John, very much. I appreciate it. I also appreciated the opportunity to get away from you in just the right amount of time.
It's one thing to get the coach when he's in sweats or a casual T-shirt on the sidelines, but it's probably a pretty expensive suit that John Candy is wearing today that the players just got wet. I wonder if they took that into account when they decided to dose him.
Listen, let there be no mistake. If there had been a money bonus of $36,000, there would have been no spilling of the water on John Candy. I think that dispelled the rumor right there.
Graisley did it, but Carl is pointing to everybody else in the team as being the guilty party. The winner will face Toronto in the Grey Cup game 1 week from today, and we'll have that game for you from Winnipeg Stadium. Tyrone Jones had hoped to be there, but this season that has seen Tyrone engaged in a lot of controversy comes to a rather disappointing end, to say the least, for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Almost 4 months ago to the day, the Argos started their home season at the Sky Dome by defeating the Hamilton Ticats 41-18, and they have not lost since. A perfect home record as they head for the Grey Cup in Winnipeg next Sunday. Mike Campbell drops quarterback Sammy Garza back at the 48-yard line.
That's Mike Campbell's 14th sack.
Downfield, pushing and shoving involving several Winnipeg players. And Raghib Ismail, who went off to the dressing room in the second quarter with a slight concussion, has returned and embraces Don Moen, who was forced out of the ball game after banging his head on the artificial turf. As the doctor said, a bit of amnesia when he went off, but I'm sure he can read the numbers on the scoreboard without any difficulty.
I'm sure he's pleased to come out and see that they maintained that win.
Toronto number 38, first down.
Rough play on the part of Chris Gaines of the Argos. A face mask violation, taking the ball down to the Toronto 46-yard line. 2:32 is the time left to play.
There's Nick Volpe, the personnel director. He's done a great job. He's brought in some very good talent to this football team. He's a great player in his own right.
Well, we saw some of the Argo championship banners hanging from the roof of the Sky Dome. Volpe played on some of the teams that won the Grey Cup in the past.
Well, they were telling us yesterday, Don, that there are 9 of them up there. It's sort of unbalanced. They need one more to balance up the Sky Dome roof. There's Nick. You can always tell a personnel director. They're sizing everybody up. What's his biceps? How fast can he run the 40? Adam Rita knows where his bread is buttered. You stay close to the personnel director.
2nd and 10. Garza's in trouble again, brought down by Darryl Ford. Ford led not only the Argos but the CFL in tackles this year. He was named to the Eastern All-Star team and is a candidate for the All-Canadian team.
It's so much easier to play defense when you got a huge lead. I mean, you can take chances, you can do things that you normally wouldn't do when the game is close. There's Dan Ferroni, offensive line captain. He's done a good job of blocking today. They used the 2 tight ends, but they didn't have to go to it all that often because Dunnigan did some rollouts. Smelly rose to the occasion. He said, Kevin Smelly's got to do a job for me, and that was an indication they were going to roll out.
Garza throws the screen to Warren Hudson. And Hudson is brought down by Harold Hallman short of a first down. Well, John Candy got soaked. Ferroni gets Coach Adam Rita with the water bucket.
Well, if Dunnigan can pick up that bucket, I'm sure his shoulder will be all right. He'll be ready to pass next week.
I don't think at this point anybody at the Toronto bench is concerned at all about getting a little wet.
Well, that's the best feeling there is, to know that you've got the game wrapped up and you're going into that Grey Cup. I mean, the enthusiasm, the momentum, the hype, that sells it all when you get into the Grey Cup.
Over 50,000, the largest crowd of the season in Toronto watching the action. The Argos started the year with a crowd of over 41,000. The initial game at the Sky Dome featuring the Rocket and the Blues Brothers entertaining at halftime. The final game of the season with the largest crowd of the year, over 50,000. And this is something of an unusual role. Lance Chomik is punting. We didn't get any indication that Hank Olisic was injured. And Chomik gets away a fine kick. Les Brown, one of the few bright spots today for Winnipeg, on the punt return, taken down at the 25-yard line. A 42-yard kick, a 2-yard return. Keith Costello was there to make the tackle for the Argos. For the last 3 years, the Bombers have defeated Toronto in the Eastern Final. But the Bombers, who defeated Winnipeg in 2 of 3 regular season games this year, took control early in this Eastern Final and have totally dominated. Another interception. Don Wilson grabs the deflection and is hauled down by Larry Willis. There's also a penalty flag, and this is probably a face mask call on the tackle.
Well, John Candy told us that Don Wilson had a lot to do with this ball game, so Don just put a dot on the I. There's the tip. Don Wilson in perfect position, but watch him run after he catches that football. Now the face mask.
No question, Larry Willis reached out to grab the face mask in making the tackle. And Don Wilson congratulates.
He's got a number 20 in the stands too. It's not often you kiss number 20 in the stands.
I hope he knows number 20 in the stands.
I think they're well acquainted. Speaking of being well acquainted, somebody has an anniversary today.
Yes.
Happy anniversary, Mr. Whitman.
Well, thank you. And Judy, once again, on our anniversary, we are not together. Hallman tried to get back into the play to put a block on Larry Willis, and he collided with the official and J.P. Escuerdo on the sidelines. Let's take a look at it from another angle. You'd think the official would have got the worst of that, but it is Harold Hallman who is down.
There was ice on that side of the field. Just as they made that interception, someone threw a bucket of ice on Mike Levenseller. You see the ice at the foot of the players? That may have been somewhat of the problem, just his footing.
Carl Braisley has water everywhere. Commissioner Donald Crump even had water dumped over his head of the Argos that year. Well, Carl Braisley is determined to soak everybody on the sidelines around the Argo bench.
Well, you can always tell a veteran. I mean, they know how to celebrate. It's been a while since Carl Braisley's been able to celebrate. He's taking full advantage of it.
But they are still concerned about the health of Harold Hallman. Well, the Argos have to be concerned about the health of a number of their players as they head for the Grey Cup game. Dunnigan hurt, the Rocket hurt, Hallman hurt, Don Moen shaken up.
Maybe Olisic has a pulled leg because he didn't punt that last time, so they could have a lot of injuries. They certainly don't want to lose Mr. Hallman.
24 seconds remaining here at the Sky Dome. 1st and 10. Willie Gillis directing the attack. The ball at the 12-yard line. Willie Gillis quite content here to drop to one knee to take the final seconds off the clock. The Toronto Argonauts last appeared in a Grey Cup game in 1987. They defeated the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in the final that year by a score of 19-3. Since then, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have won the Eastern Championship But this year, the Argos win it by an overwhelming margin, 42-3. The final score, the Toronto Argonauts are heading for the Grey Cup. Now, the Western Final at Commonwealth Stadium. Here are Steve Armitage, Dan Kepley, and Chris Cuthbert.
You know, all my life, I've heard the same old thing.
So long, little buddy.
Mike, you're not big enough. Mike, you're not fast enough. But I didn't become the CFL's most outstanding player by listening to the crowd. So when someone asks me, Mike, how do you do it? You're not tall enough. I tell them I'm just like my Reeboks. When it's time to play, I get pumped.
We're back live at Skydome in Toronto. We're in the Argonaut locker room. Adam Rita and his players are celebrating a 42-3 victory over the Bombers that has them on the way to the Grey Cup. Argonauts concerned over the health. I was hoping that wouldn't happen, but in any case, I'll carry on as a real pro would. Argonauts concerned over the health of a number of their players and their ability to play in the Grey Cup next week, but not yours, Pinball. You're playing.
Yes, definitely playing, and I think we have a lot of guys that have bumps and bruises, and they'll also be back. Matt's prognosis is also positive at this point.
Okay, Mike, thanks for your time. Good luck in Winnipeg next week. Congratulations on the win today. Now back to Steve Armitage and Dan Kepley in Edmonton.
In Toronto, a few moments in the dressing room alone with head coach Adam Rita. Toronto Argonauts advancing to the Grey Cup with a big win, a very impressive win over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.